A Homage to Home, exploring loss of identity due to the immigrant experience from Malaysia to the UK, by Aisya Imya. It's funny how the brain functions, the prefrontal cortex regulating thoughts and emotions, being an integral stimulus of working memory, the hippocampus in charge of our memories, and the ability to reconstruct forgotten memories through recognition of the five senses. The amygdala manages to create a connection between memory and emotion, creating an attachment of a significant feeling. It's funny, because how could I not remember your faces despite falling into the warmth of your skin not that long ago? It was raining the day I left. We waved goodbye to our family at the airport, the family which would soon descend into evanescence as the cave in my mind widened, submerging victims deeper into an eclipse of emptiness, disintegrating into ashes. We were only children, but through our last embrace we knew that it would be a while before we existed in each other's presence again. The sun and the moon and the stars provide a reminder that we will continue to live under the same sky, this roof shielding us from the heavens above and allowing us to continue our awareness of our past lives, still holding on to innocence and each other through bliss. The sun expresses the warmth of being somewhere I could feel so synonymous in my surroundings, talking in a language which reminds me of home, whilst being able to radiate my energy like 1,000 suns. A memory of school appears when we deemed wiping the chalkboard as an act of honour, when we played cat's cradle with string or batu seremban with rounded rubbers, when we raced to the school canteen to get the last roti canai with dal on the side in the hope it hadn't all been sold yet. Fasting in the month of Ramadan was especially hard, the sun shining brighter than before to see how capable we were of self-control through both food and regulating our emotions with the powerful humidity. Teachers would become kinder and the skies would become clearer as we sat at our desks, dozing off, resting our faces towards the sun to capture its affection. Each transmission of light providing a warmth on my face as I now purposefully stand, closing my eyes with arms stretched out directly under the gaze of the sun, with its heated hands embracing my face and accepting me for who I am. The moon displays the pasamalam, or the night markets, where people would walk between the street food stalls, smelling the kaipak, baulu and satay, a food haven which enticed anyone passing by. The aroma brought spirit and familiarity between families who playfully argued on which delicacy they should get first, couples holding hands on their first date, children playing in the streets in the safety of strangers, foreigners trying foods never tried before, stray cats approaching stall owners for leftovers. This is what we would call orang kampung, the village people, as we all combine into one entity to create community, all of this happening under the moon's beauty, her celestial bodice dispensing the only source of light in the night sky. I wonder if she's lonely up there, all alone, without anything beside her own grace. Every time my eyes wander to her, it reminds me of being in the back seat in the car, driving through the countryside as the crickets sang loudly with their chirps, the smell of different types of kueh beside me. People age and the world moves on, and still, wherever I am, the moon remains. The moon is beautiful, isn't it? The stars reflect us playing with bunga api sparklers in our grandparents' front driveway, the fireworks being our own little stars. We screamed with fright and excitement at a time when we would normally be in bed, waking up elderly neighbours who began to look exasperated by the disturbance, but soon joined in on the fun with the goal to solemnly relive their childhood. All 200 billion trillion stars in our universe portray a memory of us, still twinkling and sparkling to show our Greek mythological intertwined red string, never being cut loose by the goddess of fate, Atropos. And for those stars who have not yet been discovered, or have not experienced the pressure of gravity from its original gaseous state in space to form one of the most ethereal entities in the universe, they represent what's to come. Our future lives and future memories to be created, and no matter how long it takes, I will wait multiple lifetimes to be in your presence once again. The experience of an immigrant reminds me of the story of the ship of Theseus, an Aristotelian theory in which a ship so old and full of decay is constantly being replaced with newer components to maintain the ship's existence. Consequently, the question arises of whether it is the original ship, or has it transformed into a new commodity? Has living here, away from my place of birth for so long, taken away my heritage? Or am I simply two pieces of identity, occupying the same space within the same time? I am slowly disappearing into a liminal space, being neither here nor there, disorientating out of place to fully stand still and breathe. Who am I beside being the blur between two lines? Who am I beside being the boy carried amongst the rough of the seas? Who am I beside being the start of an unknown longing from generations to generations? Who am I? How can I stop feeling this way? My roots delve deep into my home soil, feet detached from the ground. One by one, my legs drag further and further, heavier and heavier, starting to decay as pieces of memories drop like autumn leaves and become one with the land. Where do I count as home? Goodbye to my grandparents, my cousins, my aunts and uncles, my family, as we enter the plane, taking our final step from what we called home to enter a new world. Goodbye to the land of my ancestors, fighting for Merdeka, freedom against colonialism, only for us to become more westernized as we leave. Goodbye to the feeling of acknowledgement and being fluently understood, to the feeling of affection as the sun traps you in its warm embrace, the feeling of innocence. Goodbye. End.